Attention, please. Eastern Airlines Flight 19, now ready for departure.
Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express Monorail. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're entering the vacation kingdom of the world.
There's enough land here to hold all the ideas and plans we could possibly imagine. We call it EPCOT. Will be our experimental prototype city of tomorrow.
Welcome to another episode of the Retro Disney World Podcast, taking you back to the vacation kingdom of the world, the way it was, and the way it is in your memories.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Retro Disney World Podcast, the official podcast of the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society. I'm your host, Todd McCartney, and this is episode 49.5, RetroMagic, where we'll be talking a little bit about our upcoming event this October, specifically October 12th and 13th, 2019. So, sitting with me this afternoon is Mr. Brian P. Miles. How you doing today, Brian?
Greetings and salutations from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
Yeah. We were on the other coast just a few days ago. We're finally back in the regular time zone.
This very time last week, we were sitting in a Disney Legends living room.
A big hint of what we're going to talk about here. There was a reason for this trip. So, well, let's get started here. We, as many of you may know, we've done a lot of events in the past, specifically our Lake and Lagoon tour. We did an EPCOT 35 event. We've had numerous EPCOT walking tours.
Yeah.
And then last fall, we had the Lake and Lagoon Discovery Edition tour where we we rented, but commandeered sounds better, some old Animal Kingdom Discovery riverboats, and we went around Bay Lake and did some great tours with a lot of people and all sorts of gifts and great stuff.
Dispelled some myths, confirmed some others.
That's right. That's right. It was a
stuff.
lot of fun. So we have another announcement for our next big event. And Brian, this is no doubtly going to be our largest event ever. I mean, the pull that we've been able to do on the VIPs and what we're putting together, certainly the term RetroMagic certainly goes well with it.
It's going to be so awesome you guys have to come, because otherwise it's just going to be me, Todd, JT, and Hal sitting in a room with all these cool people.
And then they hand us the
you'll
bill.
Miss out.
Then we got to pay for this. So, all right. Well, let's. Why don't we talk about the actual RetroMagic Celebration and Luncheon first, because that would really be an intro to the VIPs for the other event the previous evening. So
it is. So we'll call this the big reveal, because we've been there's been a foreshadowing of this for months and months and months as we've worked on it. But October actually marks our 5th anniversary since this podcast and website and journey began.
that is hard to believe.
It really is. It's mind blowing.
I was hoping we'd make it past the 4th episode, not alone 5 years.
I wasn't even sure if I would listen to us. So we've made some progress. So we were originally talking about doing something in May for Disney MGM Studios' 30th birthday.
Yep.
And it just got too big, right, Todd?
Yeah. Too much. Too soon. It was hard to put it all together, so we decided to move our next big event to the fall time frame, and we had a hard time picking dates on it too. This was another one we thought we might have to skip over, but we finally settled on some dates.
Well, so let's give you a little preview. We'll tell you a little bit about both events, and then we'll get into the details as they are today. We are going to be in town October 12th and 13th. That is Saturday and Sunday, the second weekend in October. And that is also Columbus Day weekend. So it is a holiday weekend for Floridians. It's a bank holiday. It provides an extra day of time for a lot of you folks to be able to make it on into town and celebrate with us.
Right.
And we've got 2 big events planned. There is going to be a VIP viewing of the temporary replacement for Illuminations, which is called EPCOT Forever, with a promised nice old dose of RetroMagic right on in there.
That's right.
We had nothing to do with that, but we will certainly capitalize on it. So you'll get the opportunity to enjoy some tidbits and cocktails and dessert in a private location in Epcot with some of our VIPs, and watch the show.
And I have to say, this is kind of for some of you out there, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to mingle with some of these VIPs. I mean, they're not all going to be with us forever, but I think when you hear who we've assembled and who you'll be able to share a drink with and a toast, I think the list is pretty impressive. So we'll go through that in a minute. So
We will.
when you hear the VIP list, these are all the individuals that will be at this cocktail reception.
So that's Saturday night,
Yep.
and we'll come back to a few more of the details. But the show run that night at 10 p.m. So our event would be from 9 p.m. on, and we gather and mingle and have a good time, and then take the show in and sit there agog at what we've just seen, with a possible little extra added bonus, which we'll touch on.
That's right.
So that's Saturday night.
Yep, and it is a private location, roped off, so we won't be trying to push our way into seeing any of this. It'll be a night.
No, we'll just be pushing each other
That's
to get the best viewing
that's my spot. That's
from
my
where we
spot.
are. Yes.
But it is a very good spot that we've got.
Right. So that's kind of the precursor to the big day. The big day we've been building towards for 5 years. And that is Sunday. For those of you who ever saw the Atco Raceway commercials. Anyway, that is Sunday. It is a day-long, what would we call it, a symposium, a celebration?
Celebration, luncheon, and information session, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so it's
historical
it's
discussions.
a party. It's a party.
It's
We're
music.
having a party.
Yeah. It's a little bit of everything. And the location itself is historic. We have
Go ahead.
We have the Ballroom of the Americas, not just the A side, but the A side and the B side, which means
we're going all
that's
in.
right.
It's going to be like a double A side, one of the Beatles double A side albums.
So we have plenty of space for that to get everywhere. We'll have tables in the round set up all through the A into the B side, and we'll have lunch we'll talk about in a minute. We're going to have a number of different panel discussions, as well as these VIPs and Disney Imagineers speak about things, and some amazing artifacts and things that people have never seen ever in their life before, too.
That's true. So
Yeah.
so let's get into some of it.
Yeah, let's talk about people are sitting
who's
there.
coming, and some cool stuff you're going to see.
All right. Well, let's talk about who we went and interviewed last week.
Yes, let's start there.
So Brian, Hal, and myself, we flew out to Los Angeles last week after some discussion with his wife, and it was mutually agreed that we could come visit Rolly Crump in his home, and we spent about 3 hours talking with him, interviewing. We videotaped it. We did something really, really cool with him.
There's a full camera crew there.
Yeah.
This was not us holding up our iPhone.
Exactly.
This was a professional camera crew there.
So Rolly will be appearing via the video interview that we taped. His health prevents him from traveling long distances.
My favorite part is we were sitting there before the cameras were rolling, and we were just talking about how we had come to be there. And we said, we had sent a letter. We're doing this event. We're telling them a little bit about the event. And I said, we had hoped for you to be our headliner and to bring you down to Florida. And Rolly said, nice try.
He's a great spirit. He's in good spirits. He's got a very firm handshake, and he gives all of you his best as well, because he knows there's a lot of fans out there. So we've got some fantastic stories that he told us, and he really enjoyed the interview, and his wife actually wrote to me yesterday and said that he's still talking about it because we hit on questions that most people just never ask him.
Right. So most of the people that have interviewed Rolly over the years have spent time talking to him about Disneyland, and because that's what he's in proximity to, and he's appeared mostly at Disneyland-related events with Disney over the years. But not so much about Walt Disney World. And he did a lot there, both from the original 1971 park that opened. He played a big role in Epcot with the Land Pavilion, which is probably the last original Future World Pavilion that's still mostly has elements that he designed and still operating.
Yeah. And he came back the third time and did some more stuff, and we even learned some things that we didn't even know he was behind it.
Big reveal.
Yes.
That we're going to sit on till the event.
That's right.
He did something that you see in Epcot today that I don't think anybody knows that he did.
No, it is really cool. So you're going to learn all sorts of stories behind Rolly, and well, that'll be a nice edited piece that we're going to play for you. So
yeah, so that's the first thing.
One of 4 Disney legends. So the second one.
The second one, I'll first tell you, is the reason it's Columbus Day weekend.
That's
so
right.
For all you folks saying, why aren't you having it when Illuminations is ending? The reason, first and foremost, is that we wanted to have an opportunity to again bring our friend and just a wonderful raconteur and lover of life and bringer of stories you've never heard before, Disney legend Bob Gurr.
That's right.
Is returning in person to lead us in our celebration of all things Walt Disney World.
Exactly. And he's eager to talk about flying on the mouse over the property when it was first built. So I think that will be a great add-on story there. So
yes, it'll be like the old routine. I started out as a child and grew up, and the story will begin there. Exactly. So Bob will be coming. There'll be opportunities to meet him, to have him sign some stuff. Yep. He's a great presenter.
Yep.
And we're excited to have him back.
Right. Now, one of the reasons that this is called RetroMagic is because of our next Disney legend, who has had his hands in probably almost, or I should say most nighttime spectaculars, including SpectroMagic. So we are happy to announce that a Disney legend, Ron Logan, will be joining us. So Ron has worked on many, many nighttime attractions, including SpectroMagic. So that will be part of what he discusses in his presentation, as well as I think he worked on Laserphonic Fantasy and all sorts of stuff. And he quite possibly, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but he had something to do with Epcot Forever. So you're going to be sitting there watching an Epcot show with the man who put together everything over the years. So really a cool experience for everybody.
I am not a lover of parades, but I have found Ron Logan's chats about them more interesting than the parades themselves. So I do make an exception for SpectroMagic, which I always loved. But
it was a great parade. So.
And we are also pleased this time to bring for a return engagement our main man, Tom Nabby, Disney legend, the original Tom Sawyer from Disneyland, and the man who made the monorails run and built Epcot and made sure everything got from the warehouse into Epcot, and all the set pieces got up into Spaceship Earth and every other thing that he's done there. He is a wonderful guest, and he loves meeting the fans, and he always has new stories to tell us about Walt Disney World, starting as a swamp and ending up the vacation kingdom of the world that it is today.
That's right. Him and Gurr together are going to be quite a pair on stage. So, all right. We also are going to welcome former Disney Imagineer Tom K. Morris. So if you are a fan of Twitter and you follow us and you follow on Twitter, Tom was a pinnacle part of the Disney Imagineering team back in the 1980s, and he's really well known for the immense number of photographs that he took at the time during the construction, and he's been kind of tweeting those out over the past couple of years and gaining a following. So we're going to be having him talk about how he built Epcot and all the different things that went along with it. And we're so excited to meet him and see what he's got to show us, because I think there's just so much in his back pockets there, photos and whatnot.
I mean, the Epcot and Disneyland Paris.
You name it.
And he was with Imagineering all the way up until a couple of years ago when he retired, and he's got just wonderful stories. And he's only made one other appearance in Orlando, where he's been able to address fans a couple of years ago, last year I think it was. We're thrilled to be able to bring him back to Florida and meet all of you and have an opportunity to share news stories and cool stories and pictures and stuff.
Exactly. And I think what's really neat about Tom is he has a genuine curiosity about the history. He tracked down where the picture of Walt sitting on the porch in Florida. He tracked down the location of where that house was. It's over near Saratoga Springs now. How tweeted out a photo of us in Disneyland last week, and he talked about the water that ran under this elevator that we had, and we talked about a pipe. I mean, you name it, he has a genuine interest in discovering all those little things back there as well. So really excited to bring Tom to the show.
And a fan favorite always that we are thrilled to bring in for this event is Ron Schneider. Ron wrote a book a few years back chronicling his time in Disneyland at the Diamond Horseshoe Review or Golden Horseshoe Review. Disneyland people are screaming it's called something different. I don't remember which one's which. But Ron's coming in, most famous for being the original Dreamfinder walk-around character.
Yeah.
But he's done all sorts of things for the Walt Disney Company in Florida, and we are excited to have him come and talk to you about Birthday Land, Mickey's Birthday Land.
We just did an episode on that couple months ago, so we might have to re-record after doing a supplemental.
So Ron had a role in various elements of Birthday Land and is a great storyteller about his work there. So we're bringing him in to talk about that and maybe some other stuff he did with a Purple Dragon and other stuff. But we really want to bring some unique stories to you. So we're going to have Ron come in and talk about Birthday Land.
Yep. Also joining us. And can you imagine? But this list keeps going on, Brian. We still have more to talk about.
It's not going to stop.
It doesn't
We're only
stop.
halfway done.
Exactly. Also joining us will be one of the members of the Carolwood Pacific Society, which restores and also keeps Walt's trains preserved for the future. Will be joining us as Mr. Michael Campbell. He is one of the foremost experts on all things Disney Railroad. So he's going to come and talk to us about not only the Magic Kingdom Railroad and the steam trains, but he's also going to talk about the Fort Wilderness Railroad, which I think is going to be fantastic. It's something that, we've done an episode on it, but not a lot of people get to hear some of the stories right out in the front. So he'll talk about those and maybe even kind of hint at where some of those things are today. So I'm looking forward to that. That was one of my favorite episodes we did, and I think a lot of you out there still have curiosity. I know there's still people out there looking for those lost rails. So
he gives a terrific presentation, and he's encyclopedic in his knowledge of the Fort Wilderness Railroad. So
yep.
We know that's a topic that fascinates a lot of you. It fascinates all of us. So we're looking forward to that one.
That's right.
And that's not where the fascination stops. I'm really excited about this next one. So we are bringing to Florida the original artist who sang the Two Brothers song, which is heard in the American Adventure and also in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln out in Disneyland. But Ali Olmo, who is the original artist, who still has a terrific voice, is coming to Florida for our event to perform, I think for the first time ever there.
Yeah.
And Tammy Tuckey, our friend Tammy Tuckey, is going to accompany her. Tammy and Ali did a duet of that, a re-recording of that last year on Tammy's album that she released. And so we are excited to bring both of them there. Ali will tell us a few stories about her work for Disney and some other stuff that she's done and the story about recording the song. And then they'll perform it for you live.
That's right, which would be really, really cool. I mean, just hearing that. And all right, so that's Ali and Tammy coming to perform the song. We are also bringing an artist with us, which actually, after talking with Rolly, he has a link to Rolly.
Yes.
Which we did. Met a few links, which we'll talk about at the event.
Which will reveal Jerry Springer style or Maury Povich style on the big screen when Jim's there.
Exactly. So Mr. Jim Sarno will be joining us. If you recognize his name, he is a sculptor and artist, and he's most well known. He's most well known for creating the land fountain that used to be in the land pavilion downstairs.
That's not all he did, though, is it, Todd?
No, there's something else. There's a little purple robot. What was his name? Smart One. And this is really cool. Jim is going to bring with him the original Smart One prototype. We're going to have that shipped out ahead of him. It's not as big as the actual working one, but this is the one that he built in his house with, I don't know, used pinball machine parts and
parts from a hardware store.
Yeah, that's right.
That then Disney took and used that as the basis for fabricating the actual Smart One. Exactly. So that is extremely exciting because we're going to be able to bring you something that really nobody's ever seen outside of Imagineering 40 years ago.
Exactly. And there's also a separate surprise with that has to go along with Smart One, which is pretty cool. So Brian shaking
I don't know
his
what
head.
it is.
You don't remember?
I'm
all right. I'll
too.
remind you off the air what it is. All right, Brian. So over to you for the next guest.
So we're really excited to have Jeff Blythe coming in for this event. Jeff is also based on the West Coast, so he doesn't get down to Florida very often, and I'm not sure if he's ever been down to do an event like this to talk about his work on Circle Vision 360 films. We did an episode a few months back about the Timekeeper, but while he was engrossing in that episode, he left us wanting to know more about the other Circle Vision 360 films that he worked on.
Right.
And I think I said on the episode, I'm not a fan of it's just like the parades. I'm not a fan of 360 Circle Vision films, but I loved that episode.
Yeah, it was so the amount of intriguing information that he had for the whole production. So he's going to talk about all the different things in his segment called Presenting the World in 360 Degrees, which should be great. So our last guest hails from Western Massachusetts. Her name is Lisa Bastoni. She's a singer-songwriter, and most of you have not heard of her, but we did interview her a while back on one of her episodes. She is the granddaughter of Walter Einsel, who created the Einsel Theater and Communicore. That was at the AT&T Futurecom area. And we've invited her to come along. I told her that, Communicore West, what's left of it, is not going to be around much longer, as it's got its demolition permits coming soon. But more importantly, because that theater itself has really kind of left a mark on her life, and she has all of her grandfather's original artwork and stuff, which we'll show, we've asked her to actually sing the Age of Information song from her grandfather's installation. So she'll be performing that live, which I think will be a great tribute to her grandfather, and I think we'll time it well with the original video that we have as well. So a lot of neat stuff. So that's our attendees right now. I don't think we have a lot more time in the day to add anymore, but we do have some special, never-before-seen films of Walt Disney World.
Yeah,
whole movie.
Those aren't the only VIPs. You'll also get the four of us.
That's right.
And
we'll be available.
We will certainly be making our own presentations of some films and slides and stuff you haven't seen before. I think we'll probably do a little bit of a Regis and Kathy Lee coffee table chat where we talk about the last 5 years and maybe some of the highlights as we've seen them, and some stories people haven't heard before of
That's right.
zany things that have happened on and off the air.
How many times do I have to cut out my dog barking during the recording?
That's the Bane dog. The Bane dog. We can tell that story.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of others out there, but that is not the entirety of this event.
That's right, Brian. So the other attraction that we can think of is food.
Oh,
and
my favorite topic. Anybody
we've had
who
a
knows
retro
me.
food. So through what Brian is dubbing the history in the baking, Brian, I'm going to let you talk. This is your area. So these are the plans.
Yeah. So when we were discussing this event with Disney, and I said we got to the food and beverage part of it, and lunch was always in the making for us, in terms of including it in this event. Because we recognize the opportunity to bring something unique. And so I said, I have a challenge that I want your food and beverage team to meet. And that has become, we are going to have a build your own handwich luncheon buffet included with your ticket. And I said, I don't want the bread cones they sell now that are pre-manufactured and passed off as handwiches. I want the original handwich, the original offering from the 80s and early 90s. And then I spent about 2 full days collecting every piece of data, image, write-ups, and history of the original handwich to prepare to hand to our food and beverage team there at the Contemporary, and they are going to make that a reality for us. There will be other retro surprises in the lunch offerings. That doesn't mean old food. We're not giving you food that's been around for 20 years. We're giving you fresh food that used to be offered back in the day.
A very unique way to celebrate the past, and we've got some dessert ideas in mind too that I think will charm a few.
Something will tickle your fancy, I assure you. But I went so far as to go back, and I've identified, I think, 19 different fillings that they had for sandwiches over the course of.
We'll pick about 4 or 5.
Yeah, there are limits. There are limits to what we can do, but yeah, exactly. we're working on it.
Yep. So there'll be snacks and chips and other things.
So come hungry.
That's right. So included with your ticket is that it will be a family-friendly event. All children will require a ticket as well. But and also, too, as we always do, Brian, we always try to give out a very special gift and try to outdo ourselves this time.
It's getting hard.
It's getting hard. We've done some really cool stuff, but we've got some ideas.
There'll be some cool stuff.
Yep.
So, Todd, when do these tickets go on sale, and where can people find out more about them?
All right, Brian. So officially, tickets go on sale May 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can get all the information that we just spoke of, as well as additional details at retrowdd.com/RetroMagic. And that will take you right to our information page with all the things there. And that is the page that you will click on for ticket sales. Again, May 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it is going to be a great time. We're also going to have our new logo available on shirts soon. So, and I want to add this in too, Brian, is that I don't know if people understand how involved it is to put on an event like this. It's a lot of work for all of us to put this together. And I don't think any of this would have been possible without everybody who has attended our past events, as well as those that help donate, because it's costly to fly people in and put them up in the hotel, and not only to work with Disney and get this all together. This isn't a couple $100 out of our pocket. There's a lot to be a lot of costs here involved. But our ultimate goal is to provide a day and an evening that you'll never forget, and be able to meet people and hear stories that you've never heard anywhere else before. So again, a big thank you to all the donors and everybody else who has come to our previous engagements.
I'll second that, and these will go on sale. Buy them because there's a limited number of tickets.
Yes.
There's only so many people we can fit in both venues. So if it's something you want to do, please pull the trigger and buy the ticket. We won't interrupt your favorite programs like PBS does. We just make this one pitch to you, and we would really love to see you. This is going to be a great event, and we're really excited about it. And we hope that some of these things we've listed, if not all of them, have wowed you.
I mean, let's just run through the VIPs again. Bob Gurr, Rolly Crump, Ron Logan, Tom Nabby, Imagineer Tom K. Morris, Ron Schneider, Michael Campbell, Ali Olmo, Jim Sarno, Tammy Tuckey, Jeff Blythe, and Lisa Bastoni. That's quite a list.
And, if you order now, we'll include an additional set of VIPs that are identical.
That's right. We're not giving away knives.
For those of you who knew what infomercials were back in the day, not the 30-minute ones, but the 1 minute, like Ginsu knife commercials. That was always at the end. They'd tag on, and if you call now, we'll include these pair of scissors that can cut through steel.
I was always enamored by that as a kid when they said, if you call within the next 5 minutes. I wanted to know, how did they know that I just watched it? That's like TV magic. You
can call at any time, Todd, and get the same deal. But I don't want to dispel all your illusions of youth.
Yeah, please. It's enough. It's enough going through backstage sometimes on Disney, and I need to keep some magic out there. So, all right. Well, that again, for all of our information, check it out at retrowddd.com/RetroMagic for all the details and tickets and pricing. We hope to see you there. Again, the dates are October 12th and October 13th. That's a Saturday, Sunday, right over Columbus Day weekend. I know I bought my flight already. I got a great deal. Ticket prices are pretty cheap if you're flying down to Florida. if you buy ahead of time, and hotels and all that good stuff are looking pretty good as well. So hope to see you there. And with that, Brian, take us out.
Follow the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society on Twitter and Instagram at LBV History and on the web at lbvhistory.org. Follow Todd McCartney and Retro WDW on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Retro WDW. For all things Retro Disney World, including exclusive merchandise, visit us on the web at retrowdw.com. On Twitter, follow our web designer, Jason Bartel of Deepwater Studios, at JasonDWS, our announcer, Andre Gardner, at Andre Gardner, and follow our hosts, Hal Bowers, on Twitter and Instagram, at GoAwayGreen, and on the web at kingdomofmemories.com. For JT Kujar on Twitter, at LS1JT, on YouTube at Rubber City Motoring, and on the web at rubbercitymotoring.com. And you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Brian P. Miles. Retro Disney World is the monthly podcast of the Lake Buena Vista Historical Society, a nonprofit, nonpartisan, tax-exempt 501c3 organization, and is not affiliated in any way with the Walt Disney Corporation or any of its subsidiary or affiliated entities.